Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at Marvel Rivals running on the Onexplayer 3 with the Intel G3 Extreme. I'll be testing a number of different settings all at once, 3 screens side by side, and if you want to learn how to read them, take a look at the image on the screen right now, pause if you need to, just to make sure you can understand the settings. I'll also be switching over to my capture card to make sure that we have a bit of a cleaner image. Okay, let's take a look at this. First up, we're going to take a look at our 35 watt tests. We're going to play at 1200p low settings to start. At the top, you can see our XeSS settings. I have it off, quality, and performance. And you can see that there's quite a difference between having XeSS off and using quality or performance mode. Now, I couldn't get exact settings side by side, so you're going to see some weird numbers with the quality on this first test. Now that we switch over to medium, you can see that the trend continues. We're sitting under 60 FPS with XeSS off, so I wouldn't recommend using without XeSS. With quality, we're getting 74, 75, and actually very similar with the performance XeSS. So not sure what's going on there. Sometimes we're actually exceeding on the quality, probably just due to that recording. Now that we move over to high settings, we're in the 40s with no XeSS. For quality, we're getting about 45, and we're sitting above 60 FPS with XeSS performance. So I would recommend sticking with that if you're going to play at high settings. And when we move over to ultra settings, you can see that we're very close to 30 FPS with no XeSS. Not doing a lot better when we're using quality, and XeSS performance isn't quite able to hit 60 FPS. So I would recommend either ultra performance or maybe just don't mess with ultra settings. So now we're going to switch over to testing a few TDPs at the same time. We're going to test out 25 watts, 20 watt, and 15 watts. So right now at low settings with XeSS to performance, we are sitting above 60 FPS with 25 watts, 75 FPS roughly with 20 watts, sometimes dropping down to 60. And with our 15 watt TDP, we're in the 40s, so not the best experience. Now, when we switch over to medium settings, you can see that we're a little bit closer to 60 FPS at 25 watts, sometimes dipping below. We're almost always below 60 FPS at 20 watts, so that is concerning, going down to 45 at times. And with 15 watts, right now we're hovering in the 40s, sometimes up to the 50s. When we go to high settings, we're at 40 FPS at 25 watts, 50 with 20, and in the 40s again at 15, although the scene isn't quite as busy. So none of these settings are hitting 60 FPS, unfortunately. So high settings may be something to avoid at lower TDP. And when we go to ultra settings, we're sitting around 30 FPS at 25 watts. Oddly enough, we're at 40, sometimes high 30s with 20 watts. I think it's just the scene. And 15 watts, we're under 30 FPS. So you definitely don't want to try that. And that wraps up the XeSS performance test. We're going to move over to XeSS quality. So at low settings, 25 watts, we're sitting above 60 FPS, looking at the 70s. We're a little bit below at 20 watts, and 15 watts is sitting just above 30 FPS. So not really the best experience. And we're going to keep going up, and we're going to go all the way up to Ultra again so that you can see how this device actually performs here. I'm not recommending these settings, but you can at least see them. So at medium settings, we're under 60 FPS with 25 watts, so I would recommend sticking with low personally. With 20 watts, we're at about 50, and 15 watts, we're hovering in the 30s, sometimes going up to 40. And as we keep moving up, we're going to check out high settings next. And we're sitting at somewhere in the 50s at 25 watt, 30s for 20 watts, sometimes up to 40. And we're sitting in the 30s at 15 watts. I would say that it's often going to dip below. The scene I have here just happens to be a little less busy. And we're going to check out ultra settings, not recommending we use them, but here's what they look like. We're sitting at under 30 FPS, sometimes in the 30s with 25 watts. We're kind of seeing a similar story at 20 watts, although it is less busy. And then 15 watts, we're in the 20s. I would definitely not recommend trying that. Now that we finished the XeSS quality tests, people often wonder how it is with no XeSS. And starting off with low settings, you can already see that this isn't going to go well. We're under 60 FPS, closer to 40s to 50s at 25 watt, low 40s at 20 watt, and 15 watt is hovering around 30 FPS. We'll continue to go up though all the way to ultra settings. So next we're going to take a look at medium settings. Here we're at 40 FPS with the 25 watt TDP. We're in the 30s at 20 watts, and 15 watts is sitting under 30 FPS. We're somewhere hovering around the mid 20s to sometimes high 20s. And we'll keep going. We're going to check out high settings next. As you can see with the high settings here, we're in the 40s, sometimes 30s at 25 watts. We're holding close to 30 FPS at 20 watts. And 15 watts, we're at 20 FPS right now, sometimes lower, sometimes higher, so you don't want to touch that territory. But we're going to keep going, and we're going to check out ultra settings, and this I don't think is going to have even a single chance. So we're at about 20 to 30 FPS at 25 watts. We're in the teens at 20 watts, and at 15 watt, we're playing a slideshow at about 10 to 15 FPS. Do not recommend using those settings. So hopefully this was helpful to help you figure out what this chip is actually capable of when it comes to Marvel Rivals, and you can decide whether this is going to basically cut it for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more videos like this, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to get to them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.